I was reading the Book of Mormon, Old Testament, New Testament, and Pearl of Great Price all at the same time. And I was kind of getting bored of it. Like, there's interesting stuff still, but like I wanted more. I wanted more knowledge because it was basically like it's repeating the same thing you always have known and already knew. So I started looking into other stuff within Gospel Library and started poking around, and I found the Gospel Topic section and the Church History section, and I started reading through that because once again, like the desire in my mind to know how to answer questions and to know the answer to these concerns. That was really my first time reading through them and even finding them. It wasn't like through a recommendation of anyone. I just was like looking through different stuff on there, and it was a section I found.
So in the MTC, it wasn't like, okay, you're going to have a phone and there's going to be a Gospel Library app. And in the Gospel Library app, there are these Gospel Topics essays. Make sure and familiarize yourself with the Gospel Topics essays so that when you're asked questions about different controversial things.
None of that. Like if they did, I definitely don't remember it because it was probably, if they did it, it was brought up probably in a very nonchalant way. Because for me, finding the Gospel Topic essays was like entering a whole new world.
You're saying is that in 2021, a Mormon missionary is out serving a mission, not even knowing that the Gospel Topics essays exist.
Yeah, I was the one to discover them for myself. It wasn't anyone at all.
That is unbelievable that they could keep those from a. You are making the decision to give 2 years of your life to a church
and pay for it,
and somehow you do that without a knowledge that the church itself had put out essays talking a little bit more honestly about its history, and the essays are living on your phone, but somehow you still are oblivious to them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's because the goal is to not know about that stuff. It's very much that you don't need to worry about that stuff because that's not what you're teaching to people. Your concern is the small and simple parts of the gospel and building their faith there. So you're very much supposed to focus on just reading Preach My Gospel and then the standard works. And that's really it. You're supposed to just stay stuck in those because it's the small but simple truths kind of thing, the primary answers. You're very much supposed to stay within that category. So they don't encourage trying to learn more about that or deep doctrine or that other stuff out there that could be troubling.
My sister was told on her mission that she was not even supposed to read like the Pearl of Great Price or think too much about it. Like she was supposed to stick to the Book of Mormon, maybe a little bit Bible, especially New Testament, and Preach My Gospel. That's it.
Really the main things you're supposed to read are New Testament and Book of Mormon. Like Pearl of Great Price is there. It's like you can read it, but I'll get more into that, but you very much avoid Pearl of Great Price and even Doctrine and Covenants with people you're teaching. And then Old Testament.
No, she was told by the mission president, like, you're not to study this even on your personal study.
Meaning
Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl of Great Price. Focus on Book of Mormon and New Testament.
So now the church is creating a bubble that excludes large sections of its own canonized scripture.
That was her mission president. I don't know how it's in other missions.
That's what Colby said.
Yeah, it's very much stay in the standard works, focus on the Book of Mormon, and maybe a bit of the New Testament. Avoid the Old Testament because some of the stuff is that's all weird and outrageous, and some of the stuff. And I mean, we know that, of course, some of that was translated incorrectly because Joseph said so. So we don't have to worry too much there.
I love teaching with the New Testament.
Same.
But on my mission, it was seen as you were an unrighteous missionary if you were using the Bible to teach. You were supposed to use just the Book of Mormon.
Yeah. Ours wasn't that far at least, but it was very much an emphasis on the Book of Mormon. And then like the New Testament is support that what the Book of Mormon is saying is true.
Yeah.
And the Book of Mormon supports that the New Testament is true because they're trying to break away from that mold of the perception that people have where it's like, oh, you just have your Book of Mormon Bible and you don't believe in the actual Bible.
Yeah, there were definitely tons of names on the record that no one had any idea who they were. And it actually created tension between missionaries and the leaders. And it would either be like a passive aggression of them being upset that the primary was just full of children that the leaders were expected to take care of, that no parents were there to support them, or they were upset that we were just baptizing people that they then had to expend more resources to try and outreach. We often didn't work very closely with the ward or branch leaders because of that tension. But I remember one time we attempted, I got a new mission president, and this mission president was more for, hey, let's work on reactivating. We still had the expectation to baptize once every week. At one time, he even said twice a week, like 2 per week. But he was like, hey, it's okay to spend time reactivating people. And I remember the bishop in that ward being upset, but also like, it's finally time that someone is actually going to do this. Because I think it was like 80 to 90% inactive. And they hardly had enough people to give callings to for like the basic functions of their wards.
November 18th, 2014, I say something about, I'm so grateful for Christ's atonement, I'd be lost without it. Because of course, with the whole grooming process and the way my monster of a trainer was, he immediately afterwards made me feel like, you know, oh, we'd better repent because we have sinned. Like, he said something to that effect afterwards, and it's hard to remember the exact words because it's a very traumatic experience.
So he assaulted you.
Yeah. So what happened was it was a P day. We got home after running a bunch of errands. We were tired. I laid down on my bed to, I think, take a nap, which missionaries often do on P days. And he got on me and I froze up, which I've since learned is a pretty common thing. He just, got on my bed and I was laying there and I was so exhausted mentally, emotionally, physically, and so alone and just in this pit of despair that no one would believe me, which he had said many times. And I guess kind of just gave up, froze up, and was just like, I guess this is what it's going to be.
Somebody would think, not living the experience, oh, well, you're gonna immediately call your zone leader, you're gonna immediately call your mission president, and then you're gonna write this down in my journal. I was sexually assaulted today by my companion, but they don't understand what's going through a Mormon missionary's brain.
Nope, exactly. They don't understand. And, when I've shared about some of my experiences with this on TikTok, there are some very brain dead comments that are similar to that, where people are like, you chose to be there, or you were 18. Like, a person's age has nothing to do with whether or not they can be sexually assaulted or sexually abused. People, get real. Oh my God. And again, what I said earlier about not really having been taught by the church about what consent really is, anything other than an enthusiastic yes is not consent, right? So, that's kind of what happened. And then all these things where he's making me feel like it's my fault too are going through my head. And so that's why, that journal entry from that day, I know it's the day I was sexually assaulted for the first time, because I know it was a P day. And I wrote about how I'm so grateful for the atonement and that I can be forgiven of sins.
The narrative around masturbation and sexuality in general that I received from the church. And so then to get home from my mission, lose my faith, be growing, finding myself, feeling comfortable in myself again. And I start reconnecting with other missionaries from my mission who have left the church or who are doubting. And I've had, the first time someone told me, I wasn't even sure if I believed them, but an elder I served with was talking to me, and he said that our mission president told him, if you struggle with masturbation, just keep it to once a week and you're good. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I got in trouble for wearing leggings on the beach or accused of flirting. And these elders, as long as they keep it to once a week, they're good. And that was something I felt so guilty about my whole life. And so I almost didn't believe him.
The first time.
The first time.
Someone told you.
Until I reconnect with a few others and hear the same thing. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It's almost funny. It's not very funny because it sends a message to women of the church and to women in my mission that they aren't allowed to be sexual in any way. You can't even wear leggings because they're too tight. But the elders, if they just can't help themselves, can masturbate once a week and they're solid. That just shocked me.
Yeah.
That I'd spent so much time just beating myself up over the tiniest things.
Yeah.
But men can get away with it because they're inherently sexual and they can't help it. So
And there are some young Mormon men or women who either choose not to serve missions or are denied the ability to serve a mission, depending on how strict their bishop or stake president is. it changes the trajectory of their entire lives, maybe in a
Yeah.
good way, maybe in a bad way, just because they can't stop masturbating.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got this awful, toxic leadership roulette system now within Mormonism, where you've got super strict bishops or mission presidents that'll keep you from a mission or send you home for masturbating.
Yeah.
And then you've got other mission presidents that are saying, oh, once a month is fine.
Yeah.
That's
once a week.
outrageous.
It is outrageous.
Yeah, and abusive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
We invite you to please share this video if you enjoyed it with anyone who you think might benefit from it, especially either parents of kids who are considering missions or prospective missionaries who are thinking about going on missions. Our intentions are not to either convince people to go on Mormon missions or to not go on Mormon missions. Instead, we just believe in informed consent. We believe that prospective missionaries and their parents deserve to know the good and the bad that often awaits Mormon missionaries, so that they can kind of make the best decision for them in their lives. Some people go on and have incredible missions that positively change their lives forever. Other people's lives are irreparably harmed when they serve Mormon missions. Please know that there are links in the description that you can check out for other stories to see the full-length versions of the excerpts that you saw today. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel because then you will be notified when other new videos come out, and we want to make sure you hear about those. Thanks so much for joining us on Mormon Stories. Be kind to each other, be good to each other, and we'll see you all again very soon. Take care.